Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast, the place where gaming meets comics, meets sports, meets movies, as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host, King Von Jr. You can follow me on social media on Twitter/X at 301 King Von Jr. You can follow me. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Twitter page at Victory Pod One. You can also follow the show's Instagram page at Victorious Ones Podcast. I'm also the social media producer for the Unpopular Reviews wrestling show Perfect Plex Talk Radio on Mondays, hosted by a friend of the program, Mike Knox. On Mondays at 6 p.m., of course. You know what I mean? And so of course, now is, I say, of course, a lot. But as we all know, it is officially holiday season. Season's been well underway. 2 weeks until Christmas, by the way, which is insane to think about. But you can also follow me on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@Von Virginia. Please make sure like and subscribe for more great content. And so, as I said before, you know that this is around the time of the year where podcasts are doing their end of the year awards, nominations and awards. And so, so for tonight is going to be the night that I give out the nominations, and so next week is going to be when I officially present the award winners. And so as far as it's concerned, like I said, it's just some of the nominees thus far. But yeah, and clearly, there's definitely been a lot to talk about this week when it comes to the week of wrestling, especially when you look at the New Days, look at Kofi and Xavier, post Big E and how they've gotten the cold shoulder ever since they kicked E out the group, and just the aftermath of that. So I'm going to go into that, and I'm also going to talk about this week's NFL news, if you will. Close some of these tabs out. I got way too many tabs right now. Anyway, hope for those that are out there, watching, that you enjoy your holidays. Making sure that you get some of your Christmas shopping out the way, at least, if you will. I know I don't really have too much of that to really do right now. So, but other than that, let me see what I can say. Going more to this week's NFL. Unfortunately, the Cowboys lost on Monday night. That was a tough game. It was pretty painful against the Bengals, especially in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. As y'all know, it's pretty much a pro Cowboys podcast. For those that aren't, that living under a rock. Excuse me for saying that. But as a matter of fact, not only that, but also we had an NXT deadline that just recently happened. So I'm going to go into my coverage of that. So let me go into this NFL news. Let's see, this was week 13. Yeah, so actually, no, it's more like week 13. Not 14. Sorry about that. Yeah, so actually more so NFL week 14. But yeah, so of course, so I'm going to give the rundown of NFL week 14, which started off on December 5th as the Detroit Lions defeated the Green Bay Packers 34-31. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers defeating division rivals, the Cleveland Browns 27-14. And of course, the New Orleans Saints defeat the Giants 14-11. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Sorry for hearing background noise, but yeah, like I said, the Saints defeat the Giants 14-11. The Dolphins defeat their division rivals, Jets 32-26. Jaguars defeat the Titans 10-6. I'm not a big fan of low-scoring games myself, to be honest. But speaking and the funny thing is, right after that, the Vikings just crushed the Falcons 42-21. Side note, I wish the Vikings would have done that in the NFC Championship game, because they could. I'd rather have seen them play the Broncos in the Super Bowl instead of Atlanta, but that's another story. That way Randy Moss and Chris Carter could have gotten a ring. But besides the point. I mean, anyway, like I said, the Vikings clipped the Falcons' wings, 42-21. And by the way, prayers up for Randy Moss as well. But also, next up, the Eagles defeat the Panthers 22-16. Saquon is definitely looking more and more like an MVP. He's certainly in the conversation for MVP candidate. The Raiders defeat the Buccaneers 20-13. Seahawks defeat the Cardinals 30-18. Niners destroy the Bears 38-13. The Rams defeat the Bills in a very, very, very close game. This might as well be this definitely the game of the week. 44-42. Chiefs defeat the Chargers 19-17. And as I said before, on Monday night, the Bengals defeat the Cowboys 27-20. And so that is NFL Week 14. And for those, of course, I want to thank those that are watching by way of X, from Twitter/X. And please make sure to share this broadcast. It's sparking, like I said, like, share, subscribe, whatever you have to do. To let other people know about this. And on 170 plus episodes thus far. And I want to thank those who still support. Thank those that still still give me support, and appreciate the content that I put out, and of course that lets me know that what I do is not in vain. So now I'm going to go into the week in wrestling, starting off with Friday Night Smackdown, which took place Friday, December 6th. As we see the WWE champion Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, kick off SmackDown. We also have the Motor City Machine Guns versus Street Profits, for the tag titles. We have Naomi. Then we have Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton versus Elektra Lopez in the U.S. title tournament, triple threat. We also have Solo Sikoa responding after the loss of War Games. And so of course things kick off with a triple threat women's match: Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton versus Elektra Lopez. And the winner of this match is Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Time herself, Tiffany Stratton. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of this outcome because of the fact that Tiff already has the briefcase. So unless they're going to have her cash in for this inaugural U.S. Championship, whatever they're going to do. But at this point, they've just been trolling us for way too long when it comes to this cash on Nia, to the point where it's these pump fakes, if you will, as far as it's like we're being taught it when it comes to when it comes to her doing this cash in. She could have even cashed in at War Games, if anything, but at this point it's really losing its shine. It's almost reminded me of Austin Theory, when he failed to cash in. Matter of fact, Theory should have never even been the Money in the Bank winner to begin with in the first place, because even when he became U.S. champion, it really, not only, like, see, even after he became U.S. champion, it did him absolutely no favors. This is the guy that beat the likes of John Cena, Edge, and Bobby Lashley, but it got him nowhere. Other than being some goofy tag team with Grayson Waller. That's what he is right now at this point. And so I don't want to see Tiffany go down this road, but it's a whole other story in itself right there. But like I said, that's Tiffany Time advances in the tournament. Also we see. Also, there was a slow-mo close-up of Bronson Reed breaking his ankle, which was pretty tough to watch, painful to watch from War Games, and he's gonna have surgery, so he's definitely gonna be out for quite a while. So it's very unfortunate. Especially when you look at Bronson Reed's push, and you just look at how far he has come and how far he's still going. And so next up, we have Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven. And someone pointed this out. Bianca Belair's gear for War Games was inspired by gear that a fan made on WWE 2K24. So Bianca Bianca recreated that fan's custom-made gear. And so, so those that saw War Games, it was definitely very very evident. As a matter of fact, actually, So as far as that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's the first time that we've seen somebody wear gear that somebody else made on the game. It's like a community creations kind of thing, if you will. So I definitely like that. But next up, like I said, we have Bianca Belair. We have Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven, and so of course after you get into a backstage fight related to Jay Cargill being taken out, we saw that Bianca Belair and Piper Niven will look for a singles match, and Chelsea Green was at ringside to continuously be a thorn in Bianca's side and distract her so Piper could take control. So as we saw, the EST had her ribs taped up to sell to sell how brutal that War Games match was, and so because of that, Piper focused on her offense, on Bianca's ribs on the midsection, and so as we know, Bianca and Piper. They definitely had some great matches before, and they know how to find some great chemistry among each other. And so, not only did EST hit the KOD on Niven to get the win, but she did it by dropping on top of Chelsea. And so the winner of this match by pinfall, Bianca Belair. Next up, we have Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. Excuse me. I'm not necessarily proud. I don't know why I said that, but also the things with Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY, and the winners of this match and still their tag team champions DIY. And eventually, it's only going to be a matter of time before DIY breaks up and recreates their feud from NXT, and just have a transition to the main roster, But in the meantime, we also saw Shinsuke Nakamura come to the ring with his newly won U.S. title, but LA Knight came out before he could speak, and so LA was about to try to fight him, but Andrade came out and said he wanted a shot at Nakamura. So of course Andrade wants to put his name in that, as being one of Nakamura's first challengers for the U.S. title. Not only that, we also saw Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, beat up LA Knight and Andrade. They chose to leave Nakamura alone once he started spewing out the black mist from his mouth, and so and so forth. Shinsuke Nakamura is greatly influenced by the Great Muta. You know what I mean? So when it comes to Great Muta's wrestling DNAs and influence, Shinsuke Nakamura is right there along with Asuka, and so you can definitely see Muta's influence. Literally with Nakamura spewing out that that liquid, which is really just mist. And the funny thing is, as a matter of fact, Nakamura already had a match with Great Muta, and this is away from WWE. But you could definitely tell that the torch has long been passed, and it's very evident in that. So I always looked at Nakamura. I always looked at Great Muta anyway. It was Great Muta Jr. So I unlocked that last WCW pack on 2K24. that's definitely gonna be that's definitely gonna be a dream match that gets fulfilled, right? But yeah, as far as that one, once again, like I said, the winners is still your tag team champions, DIY. Um, I mean, like I said, back to the Nakamura thing. The thing is, the Miss League out was meant to be creepy anyway. Um, and so it's one of the funny things about this episode also was that Kevin Owens was supposed to have an interview with Michael Cole, but he refused to enter the arena. So instead, Michael Cole interview him in the car, right? And so I saw that was pretty funny. Next up, we have Chad Gable versus Cody Rhodes, and and of course the winner of this match, none other than the American Nightmare himself, and included this this is definitely a very great match from a technical standpoint, from a technical level, and so and to see one of the great things about Cody, at least, is his ability to work with any kind of style of wrestling, Um, but it was also fun to see him to see him square off and dance with somebody who's as talented from a technical standpoint as a Chad Gable. And with Chad, I always compare him to Kurt Angle. Anyway, I like to call him Kurt Angle Jr. And it's it's very very evident in the way that Chad wrestles, in the way that he carries himself as a character, and so Chad definitely has that versatility that you're looking for when it comes to that Kurt Angle archetype, right? And so this is definitely a very strong episode of SmackDown, which definitely makes this brand look even better going into the new year. And so, and another thing I want to do is also, of course, I also want to give a rundown, at least give some brief give some brief predictions, if you will, when it comes to Saturday night's main event. It has been announced that Jesse the Body Ventura is going to be a Saturday night's main event, returning as a commentator, and we're also going to have Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. So after I do the nominations, announcements, then I'm going to give my predictions for Saturday night's main event moving forward. But yeah, so with that being said, this is definitely the weekend wrestling when it came to SmackDown. So now it is time to go into the weekend wrestling as it pertains to Monday Night Raw. As Drew McIntyre made his return to Raw, we have Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez, and Seth freaking Rollins makes appearance. And I must say, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give give my thoughts about a certain promo, if you will, led by none other than Mr. CM Punk himself. But that's going to be leave that out for later anyway. Seth Rollins shows up fresh off his brawl with CM Punk last week, and of course we see Rhea Ripley making her arrival as she battles Raquel Rodriguez in an anything goes match. So first off, we have World Heavyweight Champion Gunther addressing Finn Balor. So now the reign general is 128 days into his reign as the World Heavyweight Champion. And last week, he crushed Dirty Dominic with a powerbomb to win the match. Then afterwards, Finn Balor attacked Gunther and hit him with 3 coup de grace, right? And so of course, it's official that they're going to battle for the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event, which is going to be live on NBC. And those that have Peacock, it's going to be on there as well. And Gunther says that Finn Balor's made a huge mistake. Whether he deserves or not, Balor, now has Gunther's undivided attention. So the ring general has Finn Balor's undivided attention, and it's now going to end up like Survivor Series did. as we see Finn Balor heading to the ring with his championship partner JD Bobblehead, Dirty Dominant, Mysterio, and Carlito. And Balor says that Gunther could give him the title match he deserved. Instead, he chose to mess with him and gave it to someone who didn't deserve it, like Dirty Dom. So it's clear that Dominic didn't seem happy with that remark. I was like, about that. Dom definitely got it straight. So Finn Balor says he's the only reason why Gunther is the champion right now. And he says that Gunther is right about one thing: the Saturday night's main event is going to be nothing like Survivor Series. And Survivor Series Gunther retained the title because of Finn Balor. And Saturday night's main event, Finn says that Gunther's going to lose the title because of him. And after 8 long years, Finn Balor wants to walk out of Saturday night's main event as the new World Heavyweight Champion. So Balor's been on an 8-year drought when it comes to a World Championship. Clearly when it comes to the main roster, he hasn't been able to make that. I mean, I'm not saying he hasn't made a transition, but when it comes to being taken seriously as a world champion, as a main eventer, not so much. But yeah, of course, Finn Balor had the audacity to claim any responsibility for Gunther being the champion. And so of course, Gunther knows that Finn Balor is frustrated. Of course, especially with the fact that 8 years ago when Balor became the champion, and not only that, Gunther even said at that point he looked up to him and respected him. Over time, he said over time that respect will soon fade. And it wasn't by Gunther's choice at all. It was because Finn likes to cut corners and take shortcuts and align himself with the Judgment Day. And as Gunther says, Finn likes to hang out with weirdos in the clubhouse, which is right. Judgment Day is nothing but a bunch of weirdos. Let's be honest with you. And that, clearly Finn Balor, was livid about that. And so there's definitely a strong opening segment to set up a Saturday night's main event title match. Then next up we see the Final Judgment and The Miz walking backstage as they're going to end up facing the YF6. And during, of course, after the commercial break, we saw that WWE announced that Jesse Ventura is going to return to the broadcast team for Saturday night's main event. Next up, we have the 8-man tag team match with the Final Testament versus the YF6. Final Testament, of course, including The Miz this time. And the winners of this match by pinfall, Final Testament. And then, it's got to be my favorite part of Monday Night Raw. It was that earlier Jackie Redmond sat down with CM Punk. And Punk dropped so many truth bombs just in his sit-down interview alone. It's enough for you to rewatch it. And I mean, Punk lit into Seth Rollins we can talk about somebody that he straight sunned him, ethered him. So Jackie asked about the favor that Paul Heyman owes him. Punk says that's personal because he goes back years with Heyman. And of course last week Punk said he doesn't think of Seth freaking Rollins at all. And it's like how will he handle that? So CM Punk says he won't shy away from a fight. Punk says that if you come at him, he's going to swing. And he also says that Seth's hatred of him just confuses him. Punk says that he doesn't hate Rollins. And then you have to talk about the history. And, of course, like I said, Punk's dropping a lot of truth bombs, a lot of shoot, bombs, if you will, like when it comes to reality. It almost feels like a shoot interview just about. So Punk talks about their history, talks about how a 16-year-old Seth Rollins came to Punk and asked him to train for free. Punk discloses that Seth Rollins is 16, came up to CM Punk and wanted him to train him for free, free 99, free. Nothing beats that. So clearly it's getting deep, it's getting personal. And Punk talks about how the entitlement carried over into the adult Seth Rollins. Which clearly has. Who wants to be the best in the world, and and I think this one probably I'll say this is the funniest part of the interview. Where Punk says they remembers a time when Seth Rollins was, the funny thing is Punk talks about how Seth Rollins wants to be considered one of the top 10 greats of all time. He remembers a time when Rollins was on the top 10 list of people to be fired from his place. I said, wow, you know what? As the thing about it, Punk ain't lying, because I do remember back in 2015, Seth Rollins and of course this is before he met Becky Lynch. Side note, side story, right? Story time. I remember back in 2015, when Seth was still, the architect. This is when he was just breaking out from the Shield. He was the Money in the Bank winner. Money in the Bank winner. He's on the verge, a huge push, and it's like I want to say that this was like a little bit before, at least going into that triple threat they had with Cena and Lesnar, right? So Seth had gotten embroiled in some controversy, right? Once again, this is pre-Becky. So Seth, apparently his jaded ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance, or whatever, leaked out a new photo of him, and I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, like this dude, if he wasn't so talented, if it was anybody else, they would have gotten future endeavor. And that was definitely a very embarrassing point in Rollins' career. I'm pretty sure that he was. That's something that definitely put him on the top 10 list of people to be fired. I'm pretty sure that there were a lot of guys in the back, that definitely wanted to see him out of there in the first place anyway, especially after that. And so, he didn't really face any like major consequences at the time or whatever. But I know that that was definitely a very embarrassing moment when you're on the verge of a breakthrough in your career. So when I think, like I say, when I think about incidents like that, where Seth, really let his money out the bank, if you will, right? You know what I mean? And so like, so it's moments like that, that put it, like things like that, along with several other stuff. I'm pretty sure that put him on the top 10 list of people that a lot of guys in the locker room, want to see go. Thankfully, Seth has some friends in pretty high places when it comes to Triple H. You know what I mean? So so of course that was clearly a shield for him. But it's neither here nor there. But anyway, like I say, as far as that, I just wanted to throw that little story out there. Then Punk also said that he shielded Rollins from that. He says that of course, like I said, back to the Punk. Punk says that if he were in Rollins' place, that he would hate him too. And he talks about, of course, I've seen Punk talks about praises Rollins too. He says in his absence, Punk says that when he was absent, Rollins did a good job filling in. Had a fantastic career. But here is the exclamation point of it all. It says, now the starter is back. The starting QB is back. Rollins has to return to the bench. Rollins has to go back to being a backup quarterback because the starting quarterback is back in the game. He's back on the team. It's like, yeah, Seth Rollins has definitely rubbed many people the wrong way, burned his fair share of bridges, if you will. He has not made himself the most endearing figure, if you will, but yet he's the first one to cast judgment on Roman Reigns, but that's another story. Anyway, next up we have a non-title match with Dakota Kai versus the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. And the winner of this match by pinfall is none other then women's world champion Liv Morgan. So afterwards, Pure Fusion Collective (PFC) starts a triple team Dakota Kai, but damage control runs down to even the odds. Io Sky knocks him out of the ring. Kyrie Sane that comes off the top rope with a crossbody block to the floor. Then Liv Morgan hit Io Sky with a vicious Oblivion, spiking Io on the head. And then Liv Morgan sends over opponent for Saturday night's main event. Then Drew McIntyre says Hell in a Cell is the most violent match of his career. He succumbed to blood loss. He said, McIntyre says he could have been alive after bad blood, but he had to go back to Scotland. His family needed him. This is 2024 should have been his year. They got screwed time and time again while he was in Scotland. He wondered if people were right. They turned on Survivor Series and saw Roman Reigns standing side by side with CM Punk along with Sami Zayn, Jimmy and Jey Uso. They all went back for nothing. And Drew says at least Punk took a bribe, and that's when he knew he had to come back and take out Sami and Jey. McIntyre cannot change the past, but can and will change the present and the future. Commentators say Jey Uso was not medically cleared after McIntyre's attack last week. And so for Drew McIntyre to make the return that he did, I mean, that just straight up blew my mind. And so of course, Seth Rollins, would eventually make his way to the ring to respond to Punk's interview, but clearly, it doesn't hold up to the things that Punk said anyway, but also we see a video package from last week's Raw when Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were simply going to break up the New Day during the 10-year celebration. But Big E showed up to try and stop them. But then Kofi and Xavier, out of nowhere, pulled the biggest Uno reverse card of all time as they unexpectedly turned on Big E, kicked him out of the group, accusing him of leaving them after he broke his neck. So this was the ultimate Uno reverse card. They called him selfish. He chose himself over them. And Xavier says that Big E would never be medically cleared. Kingston and Woods reunited, and so it was down to the two of them. As we all know, Mia's Meacham's sister Christian and Scorched Earth on both of them, and it's a backstage segment we see undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes coming out of Adam Pearce's office, and of course he sees Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, as they come to greet him, but Cody says that they should be ashamed of themselves. Then they go on, then they continue to walk off on Cody, and clearly they're feeling it. Everybody's feeling the ripple effect of what happened last week. Cody says that they should be ashamed of themselves. Alpha Academy and Natalia just gave him the cold shoulder. I mean, you got to have done something super duper messed up for Natty, of all people, to give you the cold shoulder. And Natalia, clearly, she's one of the nicest and most friendliest people on the roster. She loves to read. She loves to give people hugs and stuff. And if Natty won't do that to you, that's a problem. That's a problem right there. And I mean, yeah, New Day, they definitely hit rock bottom when it comes to locker room morale. You know what I mean? I mean, come on now. But of course, but as I said before, Seth Rollins addresses Raw with CM Punk. Of course, as Rollins says that a lot to talk about. He says that when Punk's days is done in the ring, he's got a career as a politician ahead of him. And the interview earlier tonight was a match of Clash to Spin the Truth. Rollins says that Punk takes a little truth and spins it to make himself the victim. And he says that Punk's been doing his entire life. He's a fraud and a con man. You want to know the truth about CM Punk? He'll give it. If you want the truth about him and Punk, he's going to give it to them. And so Seth says he did ask him to train him, ask Punk to train him at one time. Punk was the best in the world, and he says Punk helped Rollins get his foot in the door. And Rollins respected him, said that they were friends. Then Seth also says if the story ended there, you wonder why Rollins hates Punk so much. He says it's part of the story that Punk left out. He says there's a part of the story that he left out. He's going to tell you why. He says when CM Punk walked out the doors as a company, he called and texted him as a friend. Seth Rollins said he got nothing back. Says that Punk ghosted him. It wasn't just him. It was every person who was friends with him and worked for this company. Says if you didn't quit your dream job, your priorities didn't line up with CM Punk, then you were evil. Of course, Rollins says that's not the end of the story. For the next 10 years, all Punk tried to do was tear this company down. Punk took all the pot shots that he could, podcasting as well. Because he said that Punk only came back because he failed and burned every bridge that could bring him to water. Also, the money was right. Seth ain't exactly lying about those parts either. Because it's obvious that he's referring to Punk's failed UFC run. Those two MMA matches, as far as that's concerned. And Punk does have a history of being a bridge burner. That's why I compared him to Red Hood. Because both of them will burn you any chance they get. They are in it for themselves. They're mercenaries. They have a very hard edge to them, if you will. That they're definitely those who the type of people who have no problem shaking things up, if you will. Being disruptors. CM Punk is a natural disruptor, and which leads him to being a bridge burner as well. So so there you have it. And so then next up, a CM Punk chant picks up, and Rollins is clearly irritated that he used to chant Punk's name once upon a time. Somewhere along the way, he realized that Punk was a fraud, and Rollins wanted to be better than him. And he says that everything Punk did in the ring, Rollins did twice. Also made an event at WrestleMania, unlike Punk. So when we talk about low blow, like man, then we have, like I've seen it. Of course, that leads to Sami Zayn making his way to the ring. Of course, he accused Seth Rollins of attacking Jey Uso, but it was revealed that was Drew McIntyre. He was warned Sami Zayn he was out there to defend Punk, and it started to have a fight. Sami says they were both angry last week and fought the ring. That was bound to happen every now and then. We know each other for as long as they did. Says it was wrong for him to assume Rollins attacked Jey Uso backstage. Sami ends up apologizing. Rollins thinks about it. He says he's glad Sami brought that up. We're friends for 20 years. He brought up how the kids play together. And when Jay went down, Rollins was the first person to come to mind. This and third. And then, of course, Seth Rollins, he was talking like he was Drew McIntyre. He's not happy about about how Sami Zayn said that Rollins was out of his mind when he was talking last week. And so about that. Of course, as far as that, and long story short, later on, Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn in the ring. So of course, Sami says says pretty good advice. And then, of course, he talks about he's going to handle his business with Drew McIntyre. He isn't going to listen to McIntyre complain about how he's a martyr. It's going to end as quickly as it started. So, of course, Zayn already spoke to Adam Pearson. So now it's official that Saturday night's main event, Sami Zayn is going to be taking on Drew McIntyre. As Sami Zayn leaves the ring to head to the ramp, none other than Drew McIntyre blindsides him and just punches away at him. The officials quickly break it up, and now your match is official. And we're gonna have Sami versus Drew at Saturday night's main event. Then we have the women's IC title, triple IC championship tournament, women's triple threat of Ivy Nile versus Lena Vega versus Lyra Valkyria, and the winner of this match, Lyra Valkyria. Then next we see Rhea Ripley warming up. Of course, getting ready for a match with Raquel Rodriguez. And Damian Priest walks into Rhea and says, "Eradicate." We all know what that means. Then we see Kathy Kelly backstage with the New Day. She asks about their intention to publicly berate their friend Big E. Kofi Kingston says that she's supposed to be a neutral party. Xavier Woods says says this isn't going to be unbiased. So they'll speak to the episode. So they'll speak to the people. Then Xavier takes a camera and walks down to the ring with Kingston by his side. And a lot of people were making jokes about Xavier holding the camera, talking about how I'm talking about how Xavier has experience with the camera, and you all know why, And this is what I meant to say. Speaking of that, by the way, right before we go into this segment with the New Day going to the ring, it's funny that that Xavier Woods showed up showed up to the ring with the camera. As you all know, he's an expert cameraman in more ways than one, right? And I've said this before in Facebook wrestling pages, and I'm going to say it now because I meant to say it. I meant to say it last week after New Day broke up. But here it is. I find it funny that Kofi and Xavier shot a stray at Big E's girlfriend. That they hit Big E with a low blow, by bringing up his girlfriend. I find it funny that they're jealous of Big E's girlfriend, right? But yet, as a longtime New Day fan, I turned a blind eye when Xavier was clapping Paige's cheeks on Only Wrestlers, And for those of you that are watching, you know what I'm talking about, So the nerve of them to, go for them to hit that low about Big E choosing his woman over them, when, as I said before, Triple X Xavier wanted to go rated R when it came to, Pale Page on Only Wrestlers, if you will, for the OnlyFans reference. But yeah, you know what I mean? So, it's just like the nerve that you want to throw judgment and cast judgment, The pot calling the kettle black, right? You know what I mean? So, you shade Big E for his preference when I turned a blind eye to who Xavier was, whose boots Xavier was knocking, if you will. But like I said, that's neither here nor there. So, when it comes to, there's certain non-negotiables. When you bring up who somebody decides to take to the bed with them, that's all bets are off at that point, right? But yeah, so like I said, it's just fascinating that the Xavier when it show up to the ring, taking that camera with him, since he's a master when it comes to films, if you will, different kinds of films. When you're talking about motion pictures, maybe a different kind of motion picture, if you ask Paige and Brad Maddox, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, Triple X Xavier Woods, yeah. So just as Jimmy Uso once said, make sure you don't go rated R like your boy Xavier Woods. So hey Xavier, I see. I know what you're up to. Everybody knows how you get down. You know what I mean? So yeah. So so it's just so fitting that you want to bring the camera to the ring. You know. And I know there are people who said that they couldn't even look at Xavier the same way anymore after that whole thing went down. And the thing is, as a New Day defender, like that's one of those things where I don't want to sound biased. There's part of me that that as I said before, turn a blind eye to that. I was willing to, look this way, and not want to bring that up, But yeah, that I was quick to, even when I was making my case about New Day being the greatest of all time, I brought up how how they have outstanding character, which is very much true. Outside that blemish, of course, but they've been, model citizens, and in the locker room, model citizens when it came to the fans, model citizens as wrestlers. If you were looking for a role model to replace, that blonde, weird mustache wearing, McDonald's color having rambling racist Hogan. If you want somebody that that can replace him as someone that kids can look up to, New Day would be those guys. I would say at least after Cena, after Cena's gone, then you could look at just nominate the New Day. You know what I mean? And like I said, a lot of stuff. Like I said, something like that I look past. Like I said, I was willing to, I was willing to highlight some of the blemishes of other legendary factions. Where there's the fabulous Freebirds or fascist Freebirds painting their faces with Confederate flags, or like Michael Hayes got knocked out. Michael Hayes got knocked out by JD on the plane ride from hell, and when X-Pac cut off Michael's ponytail and was run around the plane like he won the WWF title or something. Things like that. I could have brought. Like I said, I had no problem bringing that up. Right. I have no problem. Bringing up how the NWO. What I mean? Like just like outgrew themselves. You know what I mean? Like I said, I have no problem bringing that type of stuff up. And the fact that the New Day didn't have nowhere near as many controversies as those groups, as the Horsemen, the Freebirds, the NWO. If you look at their rap sheet, come on now, like New Day doesn't even compare to that. What I mean? So, what I mean? Like I said, you don't have to worry about New Day, like being a group of racist, roided up weirdos, and and abusers and all type of stuff like that. They don't have that type of. They have never had that to their name, right? So like I said, as like I say, as a long time, New Day supporter. Like I said, certain things, like I said, even with that situation, I just look past that, right? But I say all that to say that, all that good, like I mean, even with that breakup, that still doesn't take away their place in history. But now at this point, they've got nuclear heat to the point where they had more heat than Dominic Mysterio, where fans are booing New Day louder than they boo Dominic. I was like, oh my gosh, like they have nuclear bomb heat right now, to the point where, all right, now let's get to the segment, right? To the point where every time they got on the microphone to try to say something, the fans drowned them out and booed them. They were even chanting "New Day sucks." It's been a long time since I've heard anybody say New Day sucks, and they meant it. These fans say New Day sucks, new, and just you can hear the venom. Or rather, it's like, you could just hear that anger, that hatred, that you could feel that venom. New Day sucks. New Day sucks. I said, oh my goodness. And Kofi is leaning into this, especially with him walking around with that, walking around with that Majilu necklace, that M. For those of us who watch anime, for those of us, who are fans of Dragon Ball Z, know what that's all about. That is the mark of that M is the mark of evil. When Vegeta had that M on his forehead, oh, he was on scary hours. You know what I mean? Like he was on creepy, evil time. That kind of thing. Like straight up. That you saw that M, it was no good. And so now Xavier, or rather, rather Kofi. This is Majin Kofi right now. I definitely want to see somebody make some like fan artwork. Some of like a graphic artwork, if you will. In DBZ. In DBZ like animated like DBZ style artwork, right? Where they have draw Kofi Kingston with the M on his forehead, just like Vegeta. You know what I mean? So upside, so maybe I definitely want to see that because he like Kofi is definitely tapped into that side, like something I'd never see. This dude, him and Xavier dropped Big E faster than he dropped that Jamaican accent. Kofi dropped Big E from the group faster than he dropped that terrible Jamaican accent. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. I mean, like, dude, did you like? I want to be like, did you even try? When it came to the accent, like, dude, did you even try? Like, did you even have, any friends who who are actually like Jamaican that could that you could talk to that bring your corner? Like, nah, dude, that ain't it. That ain't it. Because clearly, wasn't it? But yeah, so like I said, like I said, as far as that, I mean, New Day, they have embraced that violence, embraced that darkness, if you will, and might as well spell it in U Day, since it's not 3 anymore. It's just 2. Might as well call it the New Day in U Day. I wish I would have called last week's episode that, but that's another story. Finally, we have the Anything Goes match with Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Mid Rodriguez. And the winner by way of pinfall, Rhea Ripley, as the match ends up with Rhea getting out of Raquel's Tahana bomb, sends her head first to a chair, right, wedges to the corner as Rhea hits Riptide through the table for the win. And so we see Rhea Ripley and Io Sky both grab the Women's World Championship and look at each other, especially since Io is Liv's next challenger. And side note, when it comes to the women, I am very much convinced that Liv Morgan, I mean, not Liv Morgan, I am very much, when it comes to the women, I'm very much convinced that Naomi was the one who attacked Jade Cargill. I mean, if you want to argue with a brick wall, go ahead and do it, because but other than that, I am fully persuaded that Naomi is the culprit. Anytime she talks about whoever attacks Sis, we're gonna go after her, we're gonna get her, stuff like that. Anytime it's like usually anytime somebody starts talking like that, more likely they're the one that did it. But they, if anything, more than anything, they just want to play dumb and make it seem like they are the ones who are incapable of committing such a heinous crime. But quite frankly, I think that Naomi is tired of being the third wheel because that's all she is when it comes to, with all due respect. She's a veteran and everything. But when you have her stand side by side with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and I know that people online going to be saying like, well, you should never put black women against each other, have them compared to each other and things like that. But when it comes to the world of wrestling, that's all it is. And everybody's in the competition with each other at some point, right? But the truth is, when you put Naomi side by side with both of them, their star power outshines hers. Even though she's the veteran, she's the one with the most experience. But when it comes to who's going to stand out more when it comes to when it comes to ratings, when it comes to just as they say, move the needle and just things like that. Naomi doesn't really stack that high with them like that. That's just me. So I'm thinking that it was her that did it just for her to turn heel and maybe form her own big three, as I've said this before, with Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. So I'm standing by that, even though on the other end, it could make sense that Bianca was behind it just so it could be possibly Bianca versus Jade at Mania, because eventually they're going to end up having a clash anyway. So yeah, so if anything, that's pretty much it. And also, when it comes to NXT, I'm going to give the rundown in the week. Matter of fact, I'm going to NXT Deadline right now. Let's just go for it. I don't care. Deadline 2024 results. Let's go. All right. So for the Iron Survivor Challenge, we have Javon Evans versus Wesley versus Nathan Frazier versus Ethan Page versus Obafemi. And the winner of this match, let's see, and the winner of this match for the Iron Survivor Challenge and earn the future NXT Championship match is none other than Obafemi himself, the Nigerian Thanos. Then we have the NXT Underground match, Lola Vice versus Jada Parker. The winner of this match by way of knockout, Lola Vice. But I know that this is not the last that we will see of Jada Parker, because the best is yet to come for her. And it sucked to see her cry like that, at ringside. But I know that it's only the beginning. So I see nothing but great things for Jada in the future. Then we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match with Fraxium versus Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. The winners and still NXT Tag Team Champions, Fraxium. Then we have the NXT Championship match with Trick Williams versus Ridge Holland. The winner of that match and still NXT Champion, Trick Willie Dynamite, Trick Williams. Next up, we have the Iron Survivor Challenge match with Julia versus Ren Sinclair versus Sol Brooklyn versus Zarya versus Stephanie Bakir. And the winner of this match is Julia, who's the number one contender now. Next up, I'm going to talk about NXT post deadline, as we have Kalani Jordan as she stops the Roxanne Perez and Corey Jade's attack on Julia. Then we also have Javon Evans versus Wes Lee, and the winner of this match by pinfall, Javon Evans. Next up, we have Hank Walker and Tank Ledger versus Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe. And the winners of that match, this match are Hank and Tank. Next up, we have Eddie Thorpe interrupting Trick Williams to Obafemi. He talks his way into a title match. And I can't wait for this Trick versus Oba match. It's definitely going to feels like T'Challa versus M'Baku, And Oba was talking mad trash, saying that the only reason why the Whip That Trick era happened because he let it happen. The only reason why Trick is still the champion is because Oba said he let it happen. You know, I was like, ooh, like I can't wait, especially when they got to have the New Year's Evil match on January 7th. I mean, you know, I mean, this in fact, and I was like, you know, but then you have Eddie Thorpe who looked like a crazy wrestler. It's like a weirdo, you know, compared to him. He threw off that segment, which was just stupid. But yeah, you know, I mean, but other than that, like, so there's definitely some strong words between Trick and Oba, and so of course, like I said, Eddie Thorpe just being a cornball, you know, trying to play victim, and later revealed that he faked the attack, and so of course it ends up leading to Trick knocking him out, and so I'm looking for another Trick Williams win. And we have a Fatal Influence, JC Jane and Jasmine Nix versus Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. The winners of this match, Fatal Influence. And of course, we also have the North American Championship to Tony D'Angelo versus Ethan Page. As the Don, Tony D'Angelo defeats Ethan Page by pinfall to retain the North American Championship. We have Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade versus Julia and Kalani Jordan. And the winners of this match, Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. And so that does it for the weekend wrestling. And so now, without further ado, I'm going to go into some of the nominations when it comes to my when it comes to my VIP Wrestling Awards for 2024. The Men's Wrestler of the Year nominees right now, they may narrow down, are Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Will Ospreay, Seth freaking Rollins, CM Punk, Jey Uso, Trick Williams, and even Roman. Women's Wrestlers of the Year, the nominees right now are, of course, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Toni Storm, Nia Jax, Willow Nightingale, Bayley, Bianca Belair, and Roxanne Perez. Most Improved Wrestler awards go to Nia Jax, Dominic Mysterio. They go to Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Dominic Mysterio, and so so as far as that, and yeah, I'm even I'm thinking about and another name as well. There's one I really want to have. It's just kind of like slipping my mind right now, but yeah, like I see, those are at least some of the nominations so far for most improved wrestler. I've seen it. Also, I will say another one I want to say is also a Jada Parker, the aforementioned Jada Parker, who's only been in the ring for a year, and she is making this type of progress. That's to be commended. Match of the year: Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for Night 2 of WrestleMania 40. I even go with the Night 1 main event of WrestleMania with The Rock and Roman Reigns teaming up against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. We also have CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, the Hell in a Cell match for Bad Blood. We also have Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland, with AEW, right? Then we also have the OG Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 from War Games. As far as the moment of the year, we have The Rock slapping Cody Rhodes. We have Rock, Cena, Undertaker invading Night 2's main event of WrestleMania 40. The New Day breaking up. Dominic kissing. Of course, we have Dominic kissing Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. So we also have Jay Cargill's debut at the Royal Rumble. Paul Heyman getting triple powerbombed by the Bloodline 2.0. As far as faction of the year, we have Bloodline 2.0, as well as Judgment Day, Pure Fusion Collective, and as well as a Fatal Influence. Tag Team of the Year, but we have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, Fraxium, Bloodline 2.0, as well as Motor City Machine Guns, and along with DIY and FTR. The next one we also have a return. Of course, we have the breakout star of the year. We have Braun Breaker, Oba Femi, Jacob Fatu, Ludwig Kaiser, Jada Parker, and Tiffany Stratton. And so those are some of the nominations. Some of the nominations when it comes to the VIP Wrestling Awards. And so next up, it is time for my birthday shout-outs. And so December 5th, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer and icon Lakewood Little Richard would have turned 92. On December 5th, the Dynamite Kid Tom Billington would have turned 66. December 6th, the Greek Freak Giannis Antetokounmpo turned 30. December 7th, basketball icon, living legend Larry Bird turned 68. On the same day, Terrell Owens turned 51. On December 8th, December 8th, Joy Reid turned 56. December 9th, Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle turned 56 as well. On that same day, Jakar Jackson of Metaphor turned 30. On December 10th, JTG. December 10th, JTG turned 40. On December 11th, Rey Mysterio turns 50. And so that is it when it comes to this week's birthdays. And before I go, I would like to give a word of wisdom. Is that God wants you to use different methods to fight the enemy. To not use, fleshly methods, natural methods, but to use his weapons of warfare, and also do not define yourself by the statements that people make about you. Those are my words of wisdom, especially that one right there. Do not entertain the thoughts that the enemy plants in your mind, and never define yourself of statements that people make about you. So, of course, I also want to let you know that you're victorious because greater is He that is in you than He that is in the world. When you put God in first place, you don't have to worry about being in last place. Please make sure to listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that you download podcasts. You can also watch by way of YouTube. So of course, I just want to say thank you very much for watching and listening to this podcast. And may this day be the very best day of your life. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.